I want to say three things. First is, of course, the issues are complicated. Of course, it's the case that many things are interconnected in society, right? But if you want to make intellectual progress, as natural sciences have done, you have to start simplifying. You have to specify your problems. Arjun has a tendency to run away speaking about complexity and interconnectedness, as though that's a reason to say that, look, it's so complicated you can't talk about it. Well, make it simple first. If you can make it simple, you can talk about it, discuss about it, because one thing we are all agreed, secularism is a very complex issue connected to so many things, from psychology to economics to politics and so on and so forth. Well, in that case, why debate? Because it's very complex, isn't it? This is a very, very wrong attitude to take. So, stop using as an excuse or even as an argument that something is too complex, too subtle, too interconnected. Specify very clearly what question you're attacking and what your assumptions are. Otherwise, debate cannot proceed. That's the first point. Second, cut the rhetoric down. Meaning, isn't it obvious secularization is taking place? Suggesting that you must be an idiot to deny it. Well, I am an idiot. I do deny it. Look at economics. What do you look at economics? What exactly is it that you want secularization? Most of the economic theories make assumptions about human beings that includes Marx's story, which comes straight from Christian Bible. And in that connection, the third point, he says, rights discourse is modern, it's nothing Christian. Well, you must know the history. Do you know the theory of rights as we know them today emerged in the Christian church, full-blown doctrine, in a debate between the Franciscans and the Dominicans, centuries before John Locke ever thought of rights. In fact, the history of human rights is a history, and the discussion was very simple. It started out with the question of whether church could own property or not. That is to say, was the human being the sovereign, dominus of the earth and everything in it, or was he merely a custodian? So the notion of active and passive notion of rights, 3 centuries of discussion, people, was in theology, in Christian theology. There's nothing modern in any sense of the word, in whatever notion, fancy notion of modernity you want to use, which unties theories of human rights, discourse about human rights, from its Christian origins. And furthermore, what is so modern about, assume for a moment, counterfactually, that suddenly John Locke woke up one day and had this wonderful theory of human rights. Maybe Samuel Pufendorf had it, maybe Hobbes had it, yeah? It doesn't matter. Somebody had it. Woke up one day, brilliant geniuses these Europeans are, and come up with a full-blown theory of human rights. What are the assumptions about human beings it makes? What kind of a bearer, what kind of a creature is an agent of right? Again, piece by piece, this is Christian anthropology. A man has a will. He is able to control his will. Man is an intention creature, is a goal-directed creature, and all these, man is able to reason between alternatives. These are not modern psychological, anthropological understanding of human beings, my friends. This is 2,000 years of Semitic history behind it. For instance, Greeks didn't think that way, and Indians do not. So what is so superior about the Christian conception that suddenly becomes modern, universal, scientific? Just because I assume something is scientific, it doesn't become scientific, does it? So one has to establish it. So we are talking in the realm of theory. Debate is always in the realm of theory. So no, don't say society, social conditions generate secularism. It's a nonsensical claim if ever there is one. Because we don't have a single theory in the world today which tells us what the relationship, if any, is between any particular theory and social conditions. Marxists claim that from the top of the rooftops they shout, but they don't have a workable theory. Nobody has. Our intellectual world has not produced a theory like that. Otherwise, you should be able to explain why Newton produced his theory of relativity from what? From because he was a Jew and marginalized and so on and so on and so on. See, this is rubbish. This is not science. So, if you want to appeal to this fantastic thing called society, which generates as a miracle, as it were, all these ideas and conceptions, first show what the mechanisms are, first develop the theory, tell me how it's possible to debate with that theory, and then talk. Show how, which particular condition and why in Europe generated secularism. then I'm willing to buy the story. The society generated secularism. Social conditions generated secularism. But don't take it as a premise, because it is an unargued premise and it is a false premise, in fact. So, in other words, may I suggest, for the sake of the debate, that A, you focus sharply on the question. If it's too complex, don't take it up. Take up simple things first. Or you want to take up complex things, simplify them first, reduce them. It's called a process of reduction. Reduce it to manageable proportions. Split them up into smaller problems. And then we can take them on. 2, avoid rhetorics. Don't make stupid claims. 3, don't simply keep on bringing in history as an evidence when historical knowledge is about all domains is obviously none of us have it. Yeah? Otherwise you'll end up doing what Achin said, no? Rights theory has nothing to do with Christianity, and history does just the opposite. So I suggest we focus, and so I would like to request Achin to kindly repeat what thesis, what questions he's going to take up and criticize. The way Jacob has done, we're going to take up 3 things. The division between the sacred and the secular. How do you distinguish the religious from the sacred and the profane, or how do you distinguish the religious from the secular? What kind of a phenomenon is secularization? It's not a definition of words. What kind of phenomenon it is? We claim it's a phenomenon which appears as though religion is retreating, but actually religion is expanding. He has the classical notion, which is very current, very dominant. Secularization implies the withdrawal of the religious, back to religious sphere. Third point that we want to take up is, in what sense, in what form or fashion, is it possible to say that a set of concepts, especially concepts like liberty, justice, equality, and so on, of modernity or whatever period you want to take up, is superior or inferior to the one that preceded or one that succeeds it? And the fourth point I just made, namely, rights theory presupposes a certain kind of human being, which according to the Indian traditions, I'm not talking about traditions, modern society or any of that rubbish, traditions as distinct from religions. That's the word I'm using. So, with respect to the Indian traditions, to this day, the notion of human beings, however diverse they are the antipodes of the notion of human being required for a rights theory to take off the ground. And I want to know what makes this Christian Judaic conception so obviously superior to the Indian ones. These are the 4 questions we want to take up. So kindly reformulate it as problems.
Yeah.